Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to the Funhouse and thank you for joining me again for another movie reaction commentary. This time we're going to be jumping into my first TV series and we're going to kick things off with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now to be honest, I deliberated whether to do this one or not because Star Wars has become such a polarizing brand. But in the end, I decided to do it for the channel. You know, a bit of experimentation. Now my stance on Star Wars is I've always respected Star Wars. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I've always respected it. Now whatever your stance on Star Wars is, you can't deny the fact that it's had a massive impact on culture. And not just Western culture, you can find fans of Star Wars all over the planet. So it's had an impact on culture, and then it's had an impact on the filmmaking business itself. It changed the way those types of sci-fi stories were told. It also changed the technical aspect of making those types of visual stories, both the original trilogy and the prequels. In terms of the Star Wars series, I think The Mandalorian is the best at the minute. I don't think The Mandalorian has taken off. I don't think it's found its feet yet. And we're moving into the third season, so I mean, we'll see what happens around there. I mean, if you can't get it off the ground by the third season, well, what are we doing? So while The Mandalorian is the strongest, some of the episodes are a bit boring, to be honest, and it just doesn't quite pack that punch. It feels very corporatized, like something is holding it back. As for the Book of Boba Fett, I actually found that one a little bit more boring. I think I discovered why they're not quite working, and it's to do with the filmmaking, at least from one standpoint. Now, if Kenobi doesn't get off the ground, I don't think Star Wars is going to make it. I think Star Wars will just become a thing of the past. Some of us will be around to hear when people say, Star Wars, yeah, that was a big thing at one point, wasn't it? Anyway, if you are getting any value here at the Funhouse, click the like button and subscribe. So let's get right into it. Kick back, relax, and enjoy the ride as we watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, so I think this is it. This is after that recap. Okay, so that's interesting. We were seeing, we were seeing it more like a Kung Fu style to the Jedi, which I've always thought of. More like a martial art. Okay, that's quite a cool start so far.
What do we do now? We run.
Really nice visual there.
Executive Order 66.
"10 years later." Okay. Okay, so full disclosure, I know one of the bad guys. I don't know who's the big bad. I think Vader's going to be the big bad in this one. But yeah, I know her. Yeah. She's one of the main bad guys in this one. I know that much. So this is the thing about the new Star Wars. Technically, they're brilliant. The visuals still feel like Star Wars. Look at that design there. That guy. He's cool. So yeah, the visuals are really good. But I haven't felt like the content has reached its peak. It hasn't taken off yet. I mean, The Mandalorian is approaching its third season, and it doesn't feel like it's taken off. It's struggling. It's on the runway still. It's not taking off. So we have the classic sort of Western reference here. Guy walks into a saloon, challenges somebody, but we'll see who this is.
Inquisitors.
You know what we do?
You hunt Jedi.
Do you know the key to hunting Jedi, friend? It is patience.
Ah, nice. Nice turn of events. I thought they were talking about Obi-Wan there, so...
You're wasting your time, you know that, right?
Right, so they're Force wielders as well. Inquisitors. I've heard of them, but I didn't know the backstory behind them.
You are reckless.
What she's after scraps.
Scraps are all we have left. You will forget this fixation with Kenobi, or I will relieve you of your duties.
Yes, Grand Inquisitor.
Nice. Nice design. Again, see? Spectacular visuals. Really nice designs. Beautiful color palette. Okay, we know that was Obi-Wan right there. Now we go to the establisher to confirm it. Okay, so classic tactic for empathy. We see our hero, our protagonist, in a lowly state, and now, if you know the backstory, he was once a great man, now brought to a low state. So classic move there. Okay, so another reference to the routine. So now we know something different is going to happen here. If the same thing just happens again, then that's not very good visual storytelling. So something different is going to happen. So we're back here, back at the stable again.
I want you to stay away from him. We don't need anything from you, Ben.
It's just a toy. Is he okay?
You don't care if he's okay. You care if he's showing.
It's my responsibility, Owen. We talked about this. When the time comes, he must be trained.
Owen.
Like you trained his father?
Oh, that's a low blow.
And I won't let you make the same mistake twice.
You have no rights here. We're not under the Empire's...
You know something? What's your name?
Owen. Jedi vermin. I kill vermin on my farm.
You protect your family. I like that, man. It's important. You think you could protect them from me?
No! Stand down, third sister.
I'm interested to know what her obsession is. Why does she hate Jedi so much? Why does she hate Obi-Wan so much?
You are too impulsive.
This place is beneath us.
The Grand Inquisitor was right. You still want Kenobi, but he's gone, and you won't find him.
I don't find her threatening. She's just got a chip on her shoulder. I don't know why. She's not scary. She's just a bit, I don't know. She's not annoying either. It's just, why? Nice ship design here. Ah, there he is.
Probably scouring for pirates.
That's what I said.
Don't encourage her.
All right.
The Empire is finally lining some pockets. Huh?
There are still some issues that we need to address. Slave labor, taxation of the...
And I'll say this. Some people have a problem with the political side of George Lucas's prequels, but I actually like the political side of it. I find it interesting. The Game of Thrones, you know? That battle between the nobilities. That's always interesting to me. Oh, they found him. They found the Jedi.
She's headed for Dayu.
He should not have come.
Okay, it's Bail. Thought it was a Jedi there for a second.
I'm not the man you remember.
Well, you're going to have to be. You couldn't save Anakin, but you can save her.
It's actually interesting how there's this theme right now in Star Wars of the old school guys, the old school heroes lose their confidence and they hide and they have to be coaxed into going back into the fight. So that's interesting. Why?
My father will rescue me. He'll send a whole army.
No one's coming for you.
I'm also interested to hear what the theme tune is going to be, because like The Mandalorian, I think we're going to hear it at the end. So far, The Mandalorian is the best theme tune.
You coming or not?
Okay, so we're away. Episode 2. Again, I marvel at the production design of these shows. It's really impressive. Now, I love this cyberpunk look.
You're in Daiyu now. All signals in or out are blocked.
Yeah, look at that. Nice. Technically, visually, I want more of this from Star Wars. Like Coruscant. Coruscant has 5,000 levels to it. I want to see more stories there.
Help a veteran get a warm meal.
Ah, nice. That's cool. That's cool. Because it's a clone, isn't it?
All right, come on, break it up. Clear path.
You having trouble? There's a Jedi. He helps people. I'll take you to him for the right price.
Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this sort of finding Jedi here and there, because they would never all get wiped out at the same time, would they? So it's nice to see that some of them are still scattered about, you know.
This is a Jedi mind trick. Do not be alarmed. I'm sending a mother and son to your gate. You will let them through when they arrive. They are to be given safe passage to Corellia.
Okay, this looks like a con. He's a scammer.
With your son's abilities, they will come for him.
If he asks for money...
It's all there.
Yep, he's a scammer.
We will never forget you.
You must. Now go.
That's an interesting take as well. You know, scam artists are always there to take advantage of bad situations. That's nice. I actually like that.
I'm looking for a Jedi.
How'd you get in here? I am Haja Estri. Jedi.
How much?
500 to locate the girl, another 300 to take you to her. What do you know of the Force?
Just that there's a lot of remotes and magnets. You're a bottom feeder, a rat who preys on weakness. You're gonna help me find this girl I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I figured you'd be smarter than to risk everything for a spoiled little...
Yeah, you walked right into that one.
Inquisitor really figured you out.
Where is the girl?
You're not a Jedi anymore, Kenobi. You're bleeding all over my floor.
Let go of me!
Wait!
Let go!
Your father sent me. Come. get you out of here.
Where is he?
This sort of cyberpunk looking city, it looks familiar, and I can't remember if George Lucas and his team actually did a tester that never got released. It found its way onto the internet, and they did a tester of a place like this, or I can't remember if it was a fan-made thing, but this does look familiar.
You would kidnap an Imperial Senator's child?
We've done worse.
You have no right.
What is her problem?
I want them to squeeze him. He'll reveal himself eventually.
There's something you should see, Grand Inquisitor.
Beautiful colors here, man.
Stay here for now. No noise from that.
Her name's Lola, and she won't make any.
I let your parents know you're safe. We'll be back in the palace, back to normal by nightfall.
What is that? You did lie.
Leia, listen.
How do I know you're not the real kidnapper?
You have to trust me, Leia.
You aren't a Jedi.
Your
What? How did she get to that? That didn't make sense. That didn't make sense. That was sloppy.
Stay away!
Stop!
That just caused absolute chaos for no reason. And how could she outrun him like that? No, this scene is a bit sloppy. Why the crouching tiger thing? I mean, this little girl has just caused mad chaos.
Hold on tight! Don't let go, Leia!
He has to use the Force. He has to use the Force. Okay, I get all of that, but it's just the way it was handled. The reasoning behind it didn't make sense. It just kind of happened. Get that he has to tap back into his use of the Force. I get all that. But the handling of that was a bit sloppy, man.
I know she put a bounty on Kenobi. Where is he? Don't go!
What, she's still running? What?
Finally, we meet.
Okay, we could have started the scene here.
You're no Jedi, but you know how one is. Where is he?
Why is this guy doing this for him? Why did she spare him? Okay. The first episode started things off fairly traditionally, but now it's starting to get odd. We're starting to do things for the sake of them and saying things for the sake of them without a setup.
You didn't know. Anakin Skywalker is alive.
Move aside. Watch and learn.
Who's in the gutter now?
This person is just off her rocker, man.
Are you okay?
Anakin.
Okay, that's a nice reveal. Nice reveal. Okay, guys, and that was Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think the first episode was competently made. We're seeing very traditional, safe, visual storytelling. Now, a giant corporation with unlimited resources and access to the world's finest talent putting out a competent story, well, That's not saying much. I mean, that's the bare minimum, and this needed to be great. See, for me, what made Obi-Wan such a compelling character was the mystery surrounding him. He's this hermit, he's off living by himself. Then we learn he was part of the Clone Wars.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
He's got this cool thing called a lightsaber. He's doing the Jedi mind trick, bending the will of stormtroopers. I think that that mystery made Obi-Wan so compelling. And like Rogue One, I don't think this story needed to be told. From what I've seen with the direction they're going, I don't think this story needed to be told, especially the way they're telling it. If you are going to tell that story, then it needs to be great. And this wasn't great. It was serviceable. In episode 2, the setting was the standout for me. I really like the cyberpunk neon lights production value that we got. And I like to see that seedier side to Star Wars. We don't need to keep going there and staying there, but it was just nice to see another side of Star Wars. I like the fact that you got to see stormtroopers walking around asserting their authority. I really felt the sense that the Empire had its grip on this place. I also like the creature design. Most of the time I like Star Wars creature designs anyway, so I didn't feel like this didn't live up. I particularly like that hulking bounty hunter on the rooftop that was shooting at Obi-Wan. I thought that one was cool. But then things got a little bit goofy. When Obi-Wan was chasing her down the street, that was goofy. And how did she keep outrunning him? I just didn't find it believable that this little girl could outrun Obi-Wan Kenobi like that. And then we had the crouching tiger, hidden dragon bit with Reva. Now it's cool, but I just didn't think it was appropriate. And I didn't think it was handled very well. So there's this bit where she force pushes a platform into place and it makes a kind of bridge to cross the rooftops. But when it falls into place, she hops onto it and then somersaults over the gap between the roofs anyway. I also thought it was cool seeing Anakin / Darth Vader at the end of episode 2. It was a really solid moment. I really felt the weight of it and I felt a sense of anticipation for the next episode. In terms of Kenobi, I think in episode 1, it started where it needed to. He was broken, he was dejected, he was living that hermit life. He was doing a menial job, keeping a low profile. And by the way, I love that design of the fish or whatever creature it was, and the fact that they built scaffolding to harvest the meat. I thought that was a really cool design choice, and I felt it opened up the world a bit. I didn't like the fact that he left the planet at the end. I feel like if you're going to tell the Obi-Wan story, it needs to stay on the planet because he's trying to keep a low profile. This isn't a time for adventure, and I think perhaps the alternate story could have been that he was helping people secretly, so he would see something happening, something on the horizon, and then he would warn the people around him, giving them the upper hand to let them fight off whatever's coming. I don't know, something like that. But I felt like the story needed to remain on the planet. Now I find it interesting in Star Wars that they keep taking the old school characters and making them washed up. And so for this story, it's kind of appropriate that Obi-Wan, he's lost his way, he's not practicing anymore, he's weak with the Force. But he also says in episode 1 concerning Luke that he's watching over Luke so that if he starts to show the aptitude for the Force, he's supposed to train him. But if you've lost your way, if you're not well versed in the Force, then how are you going to teach Luke? So I think that's a gaping plot hole right there. Now Reva, I didn't really like her as an antagonist, and not in the way that it should be. It should be like, this is the antagonist and they're in the hero's way. So I'm not on their side, I'm on the hero's side. But she just had a chip on her shoulder. I found it a bit disingenuous. It gets old very quickly. She came across as trying too hard, and she ended up acting like a man, which I hate when female actors do that. You need to take a leaf out of Emily Blunt's book, because in Sicario and Edge of Tomorrow, she was feminine all the way. One of my favorite villains of current time is Lalo Salamanca, played by Tony Dalton, and he appears in Better Call Saul. Now this has always been a thing for actors, but Tony Dalton does it in a way. He kills it, and he kills it with a smile.
I got a good head for numbers. Don't even worry. It's gonna be like I'm not even here. Okay. Show me.
So I think with Reva, you could have focused more on her actions. In fact, what would even be better would be the aftermath of one of her actions. You don't necessarily see it on camera, but you see the aftermath. Either something she's done herself or an order she's given. So just imagine at the end of episode 2, when she strikes down the Grand Inquisitor, if she was just cooperating with him along the way. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. But then she just turns around and impales him with her lightsaber. Now those are just quick little ideas that I'm throwing out, but you get the gist. That to me is more intimidating because now she's much more difficult to read. You don't know what to expect from her. But it's only episode 2, so we'll see what they do with her. Now, as for Leia, she's adorable. She's a very charming actress playing the role, but they keep making her act like a boy. I mean, there are other things you can explore. I think what's more interesting than just showing her being constantly defiant is, I think showing her bearing the burden of coming into a role of leadership is far more interesting. Now she's a little girl, so you don't want to make things overly complicated, but I think the dynamic of her coming into a role of authority could be explored through her parents. I think that would be a nice dynamic. She's the central focus, but it's about how it affects her parents. So seeing her losing aspects of her childhood, the loss of innocence, I think that would be much more heartbreaking for the audience. Seeing parents, especially if you're a parent, you see the parents going through the heartbreak of seeing their child grow up. And I think that would just be a bit more of a potent subject matter to deal with, rather than just make her defiant and rebellious and a tomboy. You could be exploring the fact that it's not easy being in a position of power. And again, it's not that she has to go through that necessarily because she's a little girl, but she could see how those responsibilities are affecting the people around her. It could start with her parents, but it could be other people, let's say a close family member, because they're all sort of in that political game. I think that would be an interesting dynamic. I definitely think that concept of losing and gaining. You gain something, you lose something. You lose something, you gain something. I think that could be a very effective thread that you could see all the way through Leia's arc in this series. There's also a fantastic opportunity here for her father to be a strong figure in her life, to be her mentor and teacher. So there is something that's bugging me about Leia. She sounds like she's reading off a script. She doesn't sound like the words are hers. Now don't get me wrong, she's a fine little actress, but she feels like she should be a little bit older. She feels like she should be about 13, 14, 15. To me, with the lines she's been saying, I think that would be way more believable. Overall, I think if you are just a casual viewer of Star Wars, I think you can gain some value from it. However, if you're a hardcore fan, not so much. I think for the hardcore fan, this will just be vanilla. It'll be bland. It's got some great visuals and some good application of filmmaking techniques, but going forward, they'll need to up their game because I'm not overly impressed with what I'm seeing right now. But it's the first 2 episodes, so I'm going to give it a chance to find its feet. Anyway, I hope you had fun watching along with me, and stay tuned for more movie reaction commentaries. Feel free to drop any knowledge or insights you may have about this show in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!